Hi, my name is Bob Hill, and I'm the president of the Church of Scientology Mission of Toronto. We're at 308 Broadview Avenue in Toronto. This is Sunday service number 63. The title of today's service is Leadership. How can you reduce chaos and disorder in society? How can you pick your leaders? How can you lead others? Our sermon is based on an essay written by L. Ron Hubbard on the 29th of October 1971. It's called Leadership, and it's also has some information from a lecture called Leadership given on the 4th of January 1959. I'm going to read to you the article right now. It's quite short, but try and bear along with me. There is a great deal of mystique. Now, mystique is qualifications or skills that set a person or thing apart and beyond the understanding of an outsider, connected with leadership. So let me give that to you again. There's a great deal of mystique. And again, mystique are qualifications or skills that set a person or thing apart and beyond the understanding of an outsider. So there's a great deal of mystique connected with leadership. Most of the mystique is just nonsense. It just is silly. However, it is necessary that one who leads can attract attention. They can get other people's attention by saying things, by doing things, and they can enthuse and interest others. So they can get people to feel uplifted. I find with people that I deal with, is I do tend to lead. I'm constantly coming up with solutions to keep them enthused and interested, so that if they originate a problem, I can go, oh wow, bang, here's the solution. And then the person generally feels higher emotionally. And in that state, they can get more things done. A common denominator to all good executives is the ability to communicate, got to be able to talk, to have affinity for their area and their people, and to be able to achieve a reality on existing circumstances. Now that's interesting. So the common denominator to all good executives is the ability to communicate, to have affinity for their area and their people, and to be able to achieve a reality on existing circumstances. Now, if you take that datum, so the executive, he has to have affinity for the area, he can communicate to the area, he can have reality with people's circumstances in the area. He can then, if he fully has that, he can understand it. If he can understand it, he can take responsibility for the area. And thus, he won't get any adverse effect. Even if some problem comes up, he won't get an adverse effect because he's being responsible for the area. And nothing will stick to him. You know how when something goes wrong and you assign blame over there? You've done that, I have. That would be silly to think not. However, if you're being responsible, if you're in communication and you have reality on it, and you're communicating, even though something may go wrong, you don't have to assign the cause to that thing going wrong anywhere else but to yourself. And if you can keep it with yourself, A, you feel more calm, B, you have a sense of peace, and C, you can do something about it. A good leader. All this adds up to understanding. An executive who lacks these qualities or abilities is not likely to be very successful. Understanding added to competence. Competence simply means he can get things done. He can go from point A to point B and get the result, is probably the most ideal character of an executive. In all great leaders, there is a purpose and intensity, which is unmistakable. Plus, there's a certain amount of courage required in a leader. Well, that's true. I mean, if you're going to take on being responsible for a group or for others or for how they feel or staying in communication with them, that requires courage, because also if something does happen, it falls back to you and you have to deal with it. But every time you take that step, every time you take on a bit more, every time you put something out there and you take responsibility for it, you become bigger, you grow larger, you feel more causative. And to that degree, you become a better leader. Others follows those who have the courage to get things done, even though they say they follow those they like. Now that's interesting, isn't it? People will follow you if you can get things done. And it doesn't have to be all calm, peaceful, smooth. Sometimes the guy that's getting things done, he makes a real row of it, and things get pretty noisy and pretty rowdy around him. However, he gets things done, and people will follow him. It's not just because they like him. Now, if you have the quality where they like you too, and you get things done, and you knock over this, or while you're going about getting it done, or you bang into that, or you create this. Well, if they like you too, on top of all that, well, they're going to go with you anyways. A broad examination of history shows clearly that men follow those they respect. Respect is a recognition of inspiration. They feel like, wow, I can get up and do things. Purpose, I want to get that done. And competence, I will see it through and get it done. I don't care. You've often heard in sailors' lingo, the captain is the last to leave the ship. Well, it's because everything falls back to the captain of the ship. He's assumed full responsibility for that big object and everyone that's on it. So he's the last one off. A good leader, first one in, last one off. Simple. All right? Makes sense? So there you have it. That's leadership. Where society is composed of people who are capable of bringing order into their affairs and into the society, into their groups, we of course have a stable society. We don't have chaos. The only thing they're capable of bringing order, I'll give that to you again. The only thing they're capable of bringing order, the individual, is made capable of bringing order by Scientology. So the only one who can bring order is the individual. If you study Scientology and you learn Scientology and you become more competent, you understand yourself spiritually, you will bring more order into the environment. Now that happens to be a tool that I use here. It works. It works 100% of the time if you stick with it. So get the tools to be a better leader by reading the Scientology handbook, doing the drills in the book. You can increase your ability to be a good leader and recognize good leaders and give them your support. Thank you. And thank you for coming to Sunday service.